There we go, everybody. Sorry about that. All right, give me a second, everybody. We are online. Just doing some updated things. Give me a second, folks. We're just getting everything going. All right, there we go, folks. We are on. So, sorry about that, folks. So, welcome everybody. We are going to be jumping on our live stream today, folks. So, what we are going to be doing is we are going to be building a couple of builds today. Normally, I just do one build a stream, but we're going to be doing two Alps 60% boards today. So, let me just put it on my thing that we are live, folks, and we'll go from there. Give me a second. Yeah, give me a second.
State politicians say they want to lower electricity.
Cool. All right, friends, we're going to get this show going, folks. So let me kind of walk you all through what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be doing two builds today. We're going to be doing a Frog Mini build. So we're going to utilize my case today just for kind of purposes of testing, but we're going to build the internal assembly for our client. And then we are also going to be building a tray mount Bakeneko case today as well, which is going to be really cool. So that's what we're going to be doing today, folks. So let me kind of go over parts and kind of show you all what we're going to be doing. So let me show you the PCBs we're working with today. So let's pull them out. All right, so the PCBs we're working with two tray mount 60% PCBs. These are the Steezy PCBs. These are from Apple T over in Sweden. So one of my personal favorite Alps PCBs for a 60% H60 type keyboard. So these PCBs are great. Pretty much any board that takes an H60 PCB will work with this. What's really nice about this is it has underglow RGB on it. So again, if you have a case that has a polycarbonate bottom, you can take advantage of that. It supports a wide variety of layouts. And also the case can either utilize a USB-C port that's built in, or if the case uses a JST connector, you can use there's two JST connector points here, right here, which is really nice. So this gives this PCB a lot of compatibility. Another thing too that's really nice about it supports a wide variety of bottom row layouts. And it also supports Cherry MX pattern stabilizers in addition to Alps pattern stabilizers. So that gives you the option to use the really nice Signature Plastics DCS Alps keycaps, which utilize Cherry MX stabilizers, or you can use OG Alps keycaps and use the plate mount OG Alps stabilizers. That's really, really nice. So we have two of these. So again, both these builds are going to be based around these, but these are going to be for two very different boards. So let me put the PCBs to the side, kind of show y'all what we're going to be doing. So this very first one right here is going to be for a Bakeneko. But what's really kind of cool about this particular plate, both of these come courtesy of Hype Keyboards over in Canada. Tom at Hype has been really, really awesome as I've been doing more of these custom commissions. But Tom has been like kind of my go-to guy for creating these boards. So this is a tray mount 60% for a Bakeneko. But what's really cool about this particular board, we're using, again, keycaps from an OG Macintosh keyboard, which is going to be really cool. So these are keycaps from the 1980s. These are from an Apple Extended Keyboard 1, which is going to be really, really cool. It's called an M0116. So again, we have these OG Alps keycaps that we're going to be utilizing. But with Apple, when you use the Macintosh keycaps, the bottom row is its own proprietary layout. So that's one thing that is interesting to know. If you want to use OG Macintosh keycaps, you got to be very mindful about having that specific bottom row layout for Apple keyboards. So we'll put that plate to the side, and I'll show you the other one we're going to be doing. Again, also courtesy of Hype Keyboards. Thanks, Hype, very much for being an amazing plate maker. So we're doing a Frog Mini, which is going to be really cool. So here's my, so just to kind of show you all for a reference. Here's my Frog Mini build. We have it built with, again, Taihao blue and black keycaps with salmon tactile Alps. But essentially, what we're going to be doing is, again, this is the plate. So it's pretty much the same plate. And again, we are using OG Alps pattern stabilizers as well. So the keycaps we're going to be using for this particular build are going to be from an FK 2001 keyboard. So really, really cool keyboard, really cool keycaps. What's really cool about this particular Frog Mini build, it's actually going to be going to a client who lives in Singapore, which is really cool. So that's really, really awesome. This is going to be my first international client. Most of my clients have been domestic here in the United States. So this is really, really cool. I had a client reach out from another part of the world to be able to do this build. So I'm really excited to do this Frog Mini build. We're just going to build the internal assembly. The user in Singapore actually has a Frog Mini case on hand. So they actually have a Win keyless version. So we're going to be building essentially kind of the internal assembly that I have, which is going to be really nice. So we're going to be building both of those on stream. So let me put those to the side, put the keycaps to the side for right now. And then let me put the plates to the side as well, just so we can stay a little organized. And let me walk you through the plates that we're going to utilize today as well. So we have two types of switches that we're going to be utilizing for these builds. So for the Apple build in the Bakeneko, we're going to be using Alps SKCM orange tactile switches, which have a factory weight of about 60 grams. So really, really nice switch. A switch type that I really, really enjoy. So put them up to the microphone. These sound really nice. These have a great feel. So really, really nice switch. This is, again, one of my personal favorite Alps switches that I enjoy working with. And this has been a really popular switch type for many of the client commissions that I've been doing lately. And then the next type of switch that we're going to be utilizing are going to be Alps SKCL greens. These are going to be a linear switch, and these are probably the lightest of the Alps lineup. These have about a 50-gram spring weight, and they are linear Alps, which are really cool. Linear Alps don't get enough love within the Alps hobby. Again, most Alps people really like are going to be the tactile or the clicky ones. So linears are really cool. So they're a really cool switch, but these are the two types of switches that we are going to be working with today. So really, really nice switches, ones that I really enjoy working with. So that's something that is just really, really nice as we kind of look through these particular switches. So yeah, but those are the two switches we're going to be working with. So we're going to be doing two builds today. So it's going to be pretty good. And then also too, I have, since we are doing a Bakeneko, I have a couple Bakeneko cases. One thing that's nice, again, the user is going to be using a case that's based around a Bakeneko. They haven't told me what. They're going to show me once they get the board in hand. But I have a Bakeneko case that I have on loan from one of my good friends. Again, I didn't have a Bakeneko case on hand in my personal collection. I know, believe it or not. So this is the case we're going to be using for test fitment, but this is a standard tray mount 60, so we should be good. But this is going to be the case that we're using for the Bakeneko, and of course, we will use my Frog Mini case for test fitting for the Frog Mini build that we're doing. So that's what we're going to be doing today, folks. So let's get this going. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting off with stabilized keycaps first. So we're going to start off with the Macintosh build first, which is going to be utilizing orange Alps. So let me pull out my stabilizer parts, and then we'll kind of get going and pull out my lube as well. And also we want to get my spudger tool as well. That kind of makes life a little bit easier when we assemble these boards. So first off, I want to get my stabilized keycaps out of here. Again, these Macintosh keycaps. Now, one thing about these OG Macintosh keycaps, these were back when Apple made really, really good keyboards. I mean, Apple still, for the most part, makes pretty good stuff. But this is again from the 1980s. Apple did not make their keyboards in-house. They actually hired Alps Electric to produce their keyboards. So again, any Apple keyboards from the 80s and maybe early 90s that utilize Alps keycaps and Alps switches are probably some of the best Apple keyboards that Apple has ever produced. But what's really cool is these keycaps are made of a very high quality double shot PBT. So again, they have a very, very thick level of PBT. They're double shot. So these legends are not going to wear off. Again, these keycaps are approaching 40 years old, and they look pristine. So I've done a restoration job and just cleaning these keycaps, so they look really nice. So most of the keycaps are made of PBT. The only difference is going to be your space bar. If we hold the space bar next to the actual this smaller keycap, you can see they're different shades of color. So these space bars on the Apple keycap sets are actually made of ABS. So ABS plastic yellows over the decades. It doesn't matter what you do. It's just kind of the reality of just kind of the chemical composition of ABS. It's going to yellow over the decades. It takes a very long time for this to happen. I don't do any process of retrobrighting these. I think part of the charm of these original Macintosh keycap sets is having that yellowed spacebar. So that's what we're going to kind of go with for this particular build. So we're going to pull out our stabilized keycaps for this particular build, just so we can get a test fitment on these particular ones. We have our left shift, our right shift, we have our enter, and then we're looking for our backspace. And then we have our left shift, so we're just looking for our backspace. So let me just dump these keycaps out. And there we go, we have our backspace. So there we go, we have our stabilized keycaps. I'm going to put the rest of the keycap set away for right now because we're not going to really be touching these keycaps until the very end. So we're going to kind of be jumping back and forth between both of these builds. We're going to be building them concurrently. So when I'm done doing stabilizers on this particular build, we'll move on to the Frog Mini Plate. And we'll just kind of switch and alternate back and forth with these particular keycap sets. So there we go. So I'll put our Macintosh keycaps away for right now. So let me just close this little baggie up so we don't have keycaps going everywhere. There she blows. So there we go. So we got, again, our awesome little Apple keycaps here. So that is pretty sweet. Let me get my Apple plate, and then we'll kind of go from there. So here's our Macintosh plate. So it's really kind of cool. So we got our Macintosh plate. We're going to start installing our Macintosh stabilizer parts. So since we are going with original Macintosh keycaps, we're going to be using original Macintosh parts for this, which is going to be really cool. So that's something that's really kind of nice as we look through these old Apple boards. But this is really cool. Again, these Apple keycaps are very much a throwback to just kind of a different time in history, especially with the history of Apple. Again, I've always enjoyed, I'm personally a PC guy, but old Macintosh stuff I think is really cool. I had the opportunity to go to the Computer History Museum up in Silicon Valley last month, back in June, and it was really kind of cool seeing like old vintage computers, being able to see like original Apple IIs, an original Apple I they had on display, which is really cool. It's a very, very valuable computer. It was just really cool to be able to see all that really cool vintage technology on display. So I really have a soft spot for old vintage Apple hardware. And to be able to build a modern board that pays tribute to old Macintosh stuff is really cool to me. So this is a really cool board. I really like doing builds with Macintosh keycaps. I have a bunch of Macintosh keycaps on hand. So heck, if anyone knows anyone who's interested in like a 60% board and they want to use Macintosh keycaps, please let me know. We can do some really cool stuff. Now, one thing about the Macintosh keycaps, they're only really good for 60% boards or an F-rowless board. So my main recommendation, if you want to use Apple extended keycaps or the Macintosh keycaps in an modern Alps build, really stick to 60%. Part of the reason I say that is the F-row is really weird. So the F-row keycaps are rotated 90 degrees. So there's no real good compatibility on if you want to do like a TKL or a proper full size. That's just one thing with Apple. They've always wanted to be different and unique in their design. So it's really hard to kind of use the F-row on with the Apple keycaps. So my main recommendation, if you want to use Apple extended keycaps, stick to a 60%, or if you have an F-rowless board. One board I will be looking at in the future is a board called the QFRL 100, which is an F-rowless full size, and I plan on building that with Alps using Apple extended keycaps because there's no F-row. So I could build a full size using this keycap set because I don't have to deal with the weirdness that is the F-row, thankfully. So let me get out, I just want to check this wire because this left shift is always a little bit bigger. So I want to just right shift. So let me just get a wire really quick and just see which side we're going to do. And we are going to do a full one. Perfect. Pulling out all these parts, making sure we are good to go. Yep, looking good. So, fantastic. So we're just putting in these clips right here, folks. So Making sure this little Macintosh board is going to be super awesome. There we go. Putting in all these parts just to make sure we are good. So these are OG Macintosh stabilizer parts. And we will also be using OG FK2001 stabilizer parts when we get to it. So that's some really cool stuff as we look at these this kind of old vintage inspired keyboard. So I've done a couple of these builds. I have a build that's currently waiting on parts to build with Apple keycaps. Again, kind of the pain in the butt is you have to get a specific plate because, again, to use the Macintosh keycaps, it is a very specific bottom row layout. So Apple really didn't want to use the standardized bottom row layout that pretty much everyone else on the planet uses. So because that's just kind of how Apple rolls with their own proprietary stuff. So let me just put these little parts back because they're very easy to lose. So as you can see, I have a metric truckload of stabilizer parts because I've harvested a lot of boards for Alps switches. So I always save the stabilizer parts because they come in pretty handy for doing builds in most cases. So that's really, really nice. We're going to get out a couple extra parts for the stabilizer, which is going to be really nice. The spacebar stabilizer, so we got to find the specific piece for that. So let me dump out these parts. This is just a portion to keep the spacebar nice and stable. So we'll get that portion on. So this is going to be really nice, but as we can see, it's going to look really, really good as we get that in. So we'll get this portion in. This post right here is just to make sure the spacebar doesn't wobble side to side like that. So it's just for more extra stability on our spacebar, which is really nice. So that's one nice thing about the Apple extended keycap. So it's a really well thought out design, and I enjoy working with it. So we're just putting these other parts away, and then we'll start getting other components out for this particular spacebar set. So perfect. All right, let's get the wires out. So let's get my spacebar wires out. So we're going to get a spacebar. There we go. I got a ton of these spacebar wires from all these Apple keyboards. So let me just pull it out. They kind of get stuck together. There she blows. Awesome. Yeah, so I got a ton of these components. But yeah, we're starting off with the Macintosh because this is just a weird one to begin with. And that's good. So we have our Macintosh. We have our spacebar wire. And then we want to get the wires for our other pieces. As you can see, I have a metric truckload of these. So pretty good stuff. So let me just get out some wires. So I need 3 of these. Just making sure they're all good. That's too small. Yeah, too small. It's okay. Again, I have a metric truckload of these, so it's all good. That is too small. It's okay. And that's what happens. You have a lot of these. I gotta organize these by size eventually. It's the wrong one. It's okay. Gotta look through wires, everybody. So look at that. I'm organizing wires. What if things come to? Alright, that should be... Nope. Okay. Give me a minute. We're just going to dump the whole wire assembly on here. Look at that. Look at all those wires, everybody. I know. I have a metric truckload of them. So there we go. I need 3 of these that are approximately the same. Okay, let's find some. So that's the perks of having like a bunch of them. There we go. Okay, let's find one more. I think we're good. Sweet. Found them. All right, everybody. Let me put those away. Alrighty then, folks. Oh man, look at that. All right. All right, so we got our wires. So put our wires to the side. We're going to start attaching our clips now to the bottom of our keycaps. Perfect. So let's do the space bar first, because that's always my big keycap. Not that one. There we go. Cool. So we're attaching our, looking for the right ones we want. Awesome. Got our space bar connected. Perfect. So again, we're just attaching these little clips on the bottom to our stabilized keycaps. This will make sure that the keycaps have something to interface with on the stabilizer wire. So we're just putting these in. Perfect. So we're doing our Macintosh first, and then we'll switch over to the Bakeneko. I have one I wanted to swap out really quick. Give you a second, friends. There we go. Awesome. Perfect. All right. We are ready to start lubing, which is really nice. So let's get these put away. Perfect. Cool. Awesome, awesome. So here we go, friends. So we have pretty much our components ready to go. So we're going to put the space bar to the side for right now. Let me just plug this little post thing right here for alignment. There we go. But yeah, that looks pretty good. Looking pretty good. All right. So let's start grabbing our, let's open up our 205G0 and let's start lubing everything. And then we're going to get to this show going. So where'd my 205G, there it is. Sorry, I lose track of things, everybody. It's all good. So we are going to start lubing just the first point of contact, which is going to be our connection where the wires clip in. That's going to be our kind of first point of contact for this particular board. So we just want to lube the portions where the wires clip in. So any point of contact where these stabilizers meet, especially with wire connections, that's what we want to have lubed. That's just going to make things a little less rattly and give our stabilizers a nice pleasant sound. Especially when we send it off to the client, this is going to be a build we want them to be proud of and enjoy using. So we want to make sure that this goes pretty well. Awesome, awesome. Cool. Awesome. So we have those points in. So we're going to install some switches here. We're just going to grab 5 right now. Again, I'll kind of explain my methodology with switch installment as we kind of go through. So we're using our orange switches today. So this Macintosh is going to be really cool. We're going to use orange tactile switches today. One thing that is really kind of cool, these old Macintosh keyboards, one of the original switches that Macintosh keyboards came with were actually orange Alps. So this is kind of cool. It'll kind of pay tribute to the original Macintosh keyboards, which is awesome. So really, really happy we're going to be able to do that. Let me just put this stabilizer part away that got loose. There we go. So there we go. We got some orange Alps in here. Looking good. So we're going to start installing wires. So, and then we'll start installing some keycaps as we go along. So I'm going to get these wires all lubed up. Cool. All right, let's clip this one in. There we go. Got one wire. Cool. We got our left shift ends. That's my enter. Let's get this puppy in. We'll clip in our first keycap. So this is always really nice. And we're just making sure we have lube in our wire holders on the bottom of the keycaps. That's just going to make sure we're not as rattly. All right, let's clip this keycap in. We'll be good to go. Oh, that feels nice. So we got our right shift in. We'll do our backspace next. It's a nice feeling. All right, we'll do our backspace. And getting pretty good at doing all these, so we're getting pretty quick. So the fact that we're knocking out 2 builds this morning, I think is going to be awesome. Cool. That wire is glued up. There we go. Got some lube right there. All right, let's lube the bottom part. And we're just lubing these wire holders just so you don't have as much rattle on these puppies. Perfect. Put in our backspace. Fantastic. Look at that. We got our backspace. So nice. Feeling really good. All right, let's put our enter in. And we're almost there, folks. It's got our 2 really big keys. The space bar is always kind of a pain in the butt, but that is okay. All right. Cool. Let's get our return going. Awesome, awesome. Cool. Got our return right here. Let's put that in. Got to just do a little bit more lube. Cool. All right, let's put this one in. Awesome. All right, let's put our big left shift wire in. Sorry, right shift. Can't tell things apart sometimes. It's all good. All right, let's clip this wire in. Awesome. Let's do these top portions really quick. Awesome, awesome. Let's add lube in these top wires right here. Let's get this big key in here. Oh yeah. Nice. Really good. That one feels fantastic. Cool. All right, now the big one, the space bar. So let's do few portions of this. There's a lot of points of contact. We want to lube this poster. It is a stabilizing post. We also want to lube where the wires are going to be clipping into. So a lot of points of contact here. So again, space bars are kind of the pain in the butt on Alps, but we're gonna work through them. They're not that bad once you know what you're doing. They're not that bad. So pretty good here, folks. So pretty good here. Awesome. We're gonna lube this post here. Perfect. All right, spacebar components are done. Let's just put the wire in, and then we'll be good to go. Cool. Put the wire in. Let's clip her in. Cool. Let's do a little bit of lube down here. Cool. All right. So now get this interfaced. There we go. We got our stabilized keycaps in here. So that is pretty good, folks. So let's just do a quick little test, see how they sound. Awesome. There we go. We got our stabilized keycaps in. So looking pretty good. Awesome. So there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to put our stabilizer parts to the side. We're going to solder this one into the actual keyboard and then just do a test. And once that's done and kind of tested, then we're going to go through and then we're going to do our next board in terms of stabilizers. So we're going to kind of this morning we're going to kind of alternate between both of these boards just to make sure everything is good to go. Let me just adjust my soldering iron temperature. There we go. So we're just going to kind of alternate through these. So perfect. All right. There we go. Let's get the soldering iron is warming up. Let me grab a PCB. Perfect. So get this PCB lined up, everybody. We got orange Alps on this puppy. Making sure my pins are popping through. Fantastic. Looking good. So looking good, if I do say so myself. Look at that. Look, we're attached to the PCB, folks. So looking good. So, all right. So we are all, soldering iron is all warmed up. Let's just flip this over carefully just so we make sure everything is still in alignment. All right, folks, let's get this going. I always like starting off with the space bar. Perfect. Making sure everything is all lined up, folks, but we're going through. We are soldering. Cool. Thank you, random user on the internet. Cool. All right, let's start putting the rest of these in. Looking good. Perfect. Let's do these two. Perfect. Almost there, folks. Oops. Cool. You're good. Awesome. So, perfect. We got our keycaps in. So there we go. Got our first 5 keycaps in. Awesome. Looking good. Look at that, everybody. Looking good. So let me do a quick test on this one. And then we'll put this one to the side and move on to our other one. So let's open up VIA really quick. Awesome. VIA is looking good. Let me just set up my layout really quick. Give me a second. Get sure everything looks good. Yep. Awesome. Let's go to my key tester. Backspace looks good. Enter looks good. Shift. Space. Cool. All right, we are good. So this particular little assembly is good to go. Let's close the VIA really quick. So this one is good to go. So we're going to put this one to the side for right now, and we're going to move on and do the stabilizers for our Frog Mini build. So, but yeah, we're going to be basically alternating between both of these, doing each step as we kind of go along. So we're going to put this board to the side, and we're going to get out our next build, which is going to be our Geon Frog Mini. And this build is going to be using green linear Alps, which is going to be really cool. So that's one thing that's really nice. So let me get my stabilizer parts out again, because we're using a specific type of stabilizer for this particular build. So let me get those going. Awesome. All right, give me a second, folks. I'm going to do a little social media thing really quick. Give me a second, folks. Cool. Sorry about that. We got to do a little bit of plugins on things, everybody. So, let me find my exact stabilizers we're using for this build. Here we go. Perfect. So, we are using an FK 2001 stabilizer set, which is really cool, folks. So, let me get this one going. We dump all these parts out, and we'll kind of get everything going, get exactly what we need. So, we need our stabilizer wire. We're going to need a couple of these. Awesome. Cool. And then we are going to need these two puppies. Cool. We're going to put our posts in right here. Give me a second, folks. Let's put our spacebar stabilizing posts in. There we go. So this is going to be a nice little one that we're doing. Cool. Flip those in. And let's get our wire holders. Cool. Cool. Just clipping in our wire, so we're doing the portions on these, folks. Alright, so we're doing our wire clip. So this is going to be a Geon Frog Mini, which is really cool little board. But we're going to be using an original FK 2001 keycap set, which is really cool. So both these keycaps and both these board builds from the clients are going to be using original keycaps, which is really awesome. So it's going to be super awesome and super sick. So going through, let me just make sure which. No. Give me a second. Okay. Need to go with a bigger wire there. Give me a second. Let me grab another big wire. Cool. So making sure. Yeah, there we go. Cool. Another one of them big wires for our right shift. Looking good. Yeah, so this is a really cool keycap set. This is a set that I have used previously. I just did a client build utilizing this set. So really cool keycap set. And then again, this is a set I would like to use for one of my personal builds in the future. This is just a really cool keycap set. I think it's kind of sad. FAA 2001s, people just kind of don't really give too much thought to, but I think they're really cool boards. And they're relatively inexpensive to find, which is really nice. So if you want to do a board utilizing either the switches or the keycaps from it, again, they're a pretty easy board to get your hands on, which is really nice. So all right, almost there. All right, we got our wire clips, we got our stabilizer posts. Let me put away the rest of the, oh, never mind. I need them still, so let me pull out my FK 2001 keycap set. Let me put my mouse to the side, sorry about that, folks. There we go. So I got our FK 2001 keycap set, and then we got to pull out a particular keycap from one of these old Dell sets. I'll kind of explain the reasoning behind that. So I'll put that to the side. So we got to pull out our stabilized keycaps for this particular set. So turn off the soldering iron. We're not going to need it for a little bit. So first one, we're going to need our space bar. Gotta look for it. So one thing that's cool about this one, we have this key. I'll explain why that key is friggin' awesome. Let me find my other ones. Not caps. No. Got our shift. Okay, cool. We got those. So one thing about this particular set is it uses a split right shift. So This particular plate in PCB is not compatible with that, so we're going to be pulling a right shift from another keycap set. So I'll show you, and I did that with my previous client build that worked out pretty well. So let me just put this keycap set away for right now. Perfect. All right. Oops. Alright, I gotta pull out a right shift from this old Dell keycap set. I have two of these I've harvested from, so I need to figure out which one I pulled it from. Okay, it might not be this one. Nope. It's not this set, it's the other one. Okay, cool. So these old Dell sets are really cool. Show you why in a second. Let me just get this set put away. Let me grab the other one. Perfect. Okay, let me put this set away. Perfect. Should be in this one. Where the heck are you? Here we go. Perfect. All right. Let me put this set away. We're done with this set for right now. Perfect. All right, let me just stick this one away. Perfect. Awesome. All right, folks. Here we go. So let me kind of show you this set. So this one's really cool. So we have a double stabilized spacebar, which is really nice. So it's not going to be wobbling. We have our left shift and we have our backspace. One cool key that's on this set that's really cool is we have our big ass enter. That is the official name of this particular keycap, a big ass enter. So really, really cool. And then here's our other keycap that we're going to be utilizing for this particular build. So this is a shift from a different keycap set, but the coloring pretty much matches what we're going for. This is what so I did a previous client build with this particular keycap set, and we swapped in this full right shift. So and that's what we're going to be utilizing for this particular set. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to put the plate to the side. I want to put the little clips on the bottom of these keycaps, and then we can put the rest of the stabilizer parts away. So let's put these clips in, and then we'll get everything ready to go. So there's that. Make sure our stabilized keys are cooking with gas. Awesome. So that's really good, folks. So we'll get those in there. There we go. There we go. Awesome. Perfect. Got those clips, and then we want to get the bigger clips for our space bar. Perfect. Awesome. There we go, friends. All right, we're going to put the rest of these stabilizer parts away. And then we will get going to our next phase, everybody. There we go. Cool. All right, we can put the stabilizer box of parts away. So we are done with stabilizer parts. Let me put this away. Awesome. Cool. All right, folks, let's start installing the goodies. So we're going to put in some switches here really quick. So we're going to grab 5 green Alps, and then we're going to put those in and we'll start lubing stuff. So that is pretty good. Awesome. Perfect. Look at that. We got some Alps. Let's just kind of push this down so the pins are keeping this in place. There we go. Perfect. All right, we're going to get some 205G0 out, and we're going to start lubing the connection points on these stabilizers. So, really, really cool keycap set. So, one of my personal favorites. It's just a really cool set. So there's adding lube where the wires are going to clip in. We're also going to lube the spacebar stabilizing posts. So, again, lubing these stabilizers is pretty important. Again, they're very different from Cherry MX. Again, most Cherry MX stabilizers are going to be PCB mounted. There are plate mount stabilizers for Cherry MX builds, but for the purposes of this build, we are going PCB mounted. That's just kind of how OG Alps stabs work. They were mounted to the plate and not the PCB. Cool. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to start lubing and installing our wires. Cool. Cool. Let's clip our wire in. There we go. Let's get our shift over here. We'll put that one on. Get these wires lubed up. Cool. Alright, let's install this shifter right here. Clip her in. There we go. Got our shift. Let's do our backspace next. Okay, let's install backspace wire. There we go. Cool. So we're just lubing all these different components, everybody. All right, let's get going. All right, got a backspace in. Look at that. All right, we'll do our right shift next. That's one of our bigger keys. Cool. We're making good progress, everybody. All right, that looks good. So we got our big shift in, shift, backspace, feeling good. So now we're gonna get the big ass enter in here. So that's always a fun key to do. Cool. So add that lube. Perfect. You can add that lube in, folks. Pretty good. We're just going to add some lube to the wire down here, and then we're going to clip this puppy in. Cool. All right, this one's a little bit weird in terms of how we got to do it. There we go. Looking good. So, there we go. We got our big ass enter is installed. So that is pretty good. Now all we got to do is our space bar. So pretty good if I do say so myself, everybody. That's a really nice one. So let's lube our points of contact on here. And then we'll be pretty much done with stabilizers for this morning. Then we can make kind of quick work of everything else, folks. So awesome. Cool. Got those points. Let's just do our stabilizer posts. Perfect. Cool. Right, that is good. Let's just do these wires really quick. Cool. All right, let's clip this in. Let's get a little bit of lube where that's going to clip in. Cool. All right, now we got to do the delicate act of getting this space bar clipped in. There we go. We are happy, everybody. Look at that. Look at that. We got our space bar in. Put our tools over here. Let's put our 205G0 away. Wipe my hands off just to get all that 205G0 off. But we're good, folks. We have our stabilized keycaps. grab our PCB and let's line this up. Just gonna wipe off. There's some lube on the keycaps. Let's not do that. There we go. Let's put them in. Let's get them lined up. Give me a second, folks. There we go. We got our pins lined up. Give me a quick second, everybody. I gotta mute my thing. Give me a second, everybody. Duty calls. Duty calls. Give me a second, everybody. I gotta take care of some bit. All right. Thank you, everybody. Got to take care of some personal business. Yeah, give me a second, everybody. Taking care of some business. All right, we good, everybody. We good. Cool. All right, thank you, everybody. Sorry about that. You got to take care of some business. You got to take care of business, so it's all good. Cool. Awesome, friends. All right. Get that warmed up. We're going to solder these switches in, and we'll do a test, and then we'll kind of rotate back to our other keyboard. Looking good. Perfect. Looking awesome. Okay, I definitely want to. Looking good, folks. We are soldering these in. Perfect. Looking good, folks. So we're just making sure. So solder in the other points. Awesome. Perfect. Awesome, awesome. Those points are in. Let's see the second one right here. All right, so put this to the side, and there we go. So we have our stabilized keycaps that are all soldered in. Just checking all the solder points, just making sure we look good, and we are awesome. So let's test these really quick. Okay, that's interesting. Let's open up via. Awesome. Perfect. Let's program this board really quick. Perfect. Just programming this board really quick. Perfect. And then we're gonna blank these ones out because we're going wing keyless. Perfect. All right. Let's do a quick test. Ah, damn, our spacebar button's not good, so we're gonna have to swap that. Ah, man, our spacebar key is not good. Dang, we gotta swap that one in, everybody. Yeah, we'll do a new spacebar. Oh, we gotta kill that button too, because we're not using that. All right, so we gotta install a new key for our spacebar. So give me a second, folks. Let me just cool. So we have to do a new spacebar key for this one. So that is okay. So I gotta pull my spacebar off, unfortunately. Dang. All right, let's just, we'll have to use that 205G0 again. Let me just wipe off some stuff just Make sure we're all clean over here. We'll re-lube that. But we gotta desolder this. So we gotta pull out the desolder gun, everybody. So let me pull that to the side. Let me get my desolder gun out. Alright, so let's get this puppy going. Alright, we are heating up. Let me just clear this puppy out really quick. Awesome. Perfect. Now let this warm up, and then we're going to pull this spacebar button out, folks. So that's, sorry about that. Pull that spacebar out. All right, just give it a second to think. Yeah, we got to let it warm up, but also this tool is the Hacko FR301. Really, really good tool. Makes my life 1,000 times easier when we're soldering. Okay, we still got some solder in there. It's not pulling out. Give me a second, folks. Give me a second. We just want to make sure this tool is all cleared out. Okay, let's try it again. It's not really sucking, so give me a second, folks. We may have to do a little bit of cleaning on this tool. It's all good. Do a little bit of cleaning on this, and we'll get her going. Yeah, Hacko FR301. A little bit of a high maintenance tool, but it's a great tool, and it is one of my workhorses in my tool lineup for working on keyboards. There we go. And that little thing cleaned out. Perfect. Alright, we got the chamber cleaned out. Let's clean the nozzle really quick. Sometimes the nozzle gets clogged up. It's okay. So, getting this one going. So, perfect. So, let's clean up my nozzle really quick. Awesome. Pull that off. Oh, there's your problem. I had some stuff stuck in the nozzle, so. Alright, well, there's your problem. Alright, we're cleaned out, folks. Let's get this puppy back together. Let's start desoldering. Perfect. Ah, there we go. Perfect. Alright, let's pull the switch out. There we go. Yeah, rather unfortunate, but it's okay. Put that one to the side. Let's put a fresh new green switch in. Hopefully that makes it a little more responsive. So we're going to solder this one in before we put the spacebar, like actual keycap on. And we're just going to do a quick little test of this one. Make sure it's responsive. There we go. Perfect. Awesome. So we're going to plug this one in. Just make sure that space bar is nice and happy. Let me get VIA opened up. Perfect. All right, spacebar is happy, folks. So we're going to put the desoldering gun away for now. So we are good. So let's reinstall our spacebar key. Then we should be good to go. So let me just put my solder gun tools away for right now. Let me just add a little bit more lube to the spacebar just to make sure everything is still good to go. So perfect. And then we'll just add some more lube down here. Perfect. All right, let's get this puppy put in. All right, we are good to go, folks. We got our space bar nice and happy. So we're done with 205G0 now, officially. Perfect. So that's part of the troubleshooting that we do with these particular builds. So there we go. Let's put my little vent to the side. So let's just plug this one in again, just to re-verify. Then we can see our perfect. Awesome. Let's bring our other one back. So here's our other assembly. I just want to retest that. We're just going to be doing a lot of verification and testing on these particular boards. Perfect. All right. Put that to the side. So here we go, folks. Let me move my little VIA out of the way. But here are two assemblies that we now have stabilizers installed. So top one is going to be the Bakeneko with the original Apple Macintosh keycaps. This bottom one is going to be our Frog Mini with the FK2001 keycaps. So we have that big ass enter, which is just fantastic. So, all right, we're gonna continue with green Alps for right now, and then we'll come back to orange Alps in a second. So let me just put this dead. I have a bag where I store my Alps that need some repair. So let's do some green Alps. So we're gonna kind of go around the perimeter and install some Alps. So for this one, we are going win keyless. So on the FK2001, this is going in a win keyless Frog Mini. So we're doing green Alps on this one. So we're doing our win keyless green Alps. Perfect. And then we're going to install the rest of our keys here. So there we go. Just on the side. We're just doing our modifier keys just to make sure everything is nice and lined up. So there we go on that side. So we have those keys in. So I'm going to put that one to the side for right now. And we're going to go over to our Apple Extended one. And we're going to do kind of the same thing. Now, Apple Extended does have a full bottom row. So we're going to have all of our keycaps here on the bottom, which is really nice. So we do have a full use of the bottom row, which is really cool. So we're just putting those keycaps in. Awesome. Look at that. Looking cool. Then we'll get our caps lock, our tab, and then our escape. Look at that. And then, of course, we'll put in our slash. But yeah, there you go. You can kind of see the differentiation between these two. So we'll solder both of these in, and then we'll do some tests. But there we go. You can kind of see the difference in how these builds are shaping up. So that's really cool. So again, we have Frog Mini with, of course, our our FK 2001 set, and then we have our tray mount Bakeneko with our orange Alps and our and again our Macintosh keycaps. So this is looking really cool. I really like how this is coming out so far. So these builds are going to be awesome. So 60% is really fun boards, one of my personal favorites. So we're going to get the soldering iron and get the vent going, and we'll do one at a time. So let me put one to the side. We'll start off with the orange Alps and the Macintosh, and then we'll go from there. So let me get my vent going. Let's get our solder going, and then we're going to get these in here. Perfect. Let's go over here. Perfect. Nice. Soldering them in, folks. Soldering them in. Looking good. Let's do this one. Nice. Got those sides. We're just going to finish up our bottom row. Cool. Awesome, friends. Cool. So these ones are soldered in. Let's just do a quick test, and if these are all good, then we'll switch over to the green Alps build. So that's looking pretty good. Look at that, folks. Look at that. So let me get VIA opened up. And let's do a quick little switch test on this little board. All right, so escape looks good. Tab's good. Caps lock's good. Control. Yep. Okay, my alt isn't as good as I would want it, so we're going to replace that alt. Everything else looks pretty good. So let's replace the alt, and we'll be good to go. So it's a process doing these boards, but that's part of why these boards are so fun, in my personal opinion. So let this one heat up. So it's that alt right there. So we're going to solder this switch right here. So let me get my thing heated up. There we go. Let my Hacko heat up. So once that red light turns off, we're good to go. We're desoldering this particular switch. So let's get that one desoldered and we'll go from there. Awesome, awesome. Come on, come on. It's desoldering, folks. There we go. All right. Perfect. All right, let's pull that one out. Perfect. That is a switch that's no bueno. So I'll put that one to the side. Let's grab a fresh orange switch and let's try that again. All right, let's solder that in. And we'll see how that's going to go. Cool. Awesome, awesome. Perfect. All right, let's try that again. Let's plug it in. Perfect. This one is good to go. So all keys are good on this one. So orange assembly is good for right now. We'll go to the other board, and then we'll start installing numbers and alphas. So that one's pretty good. All right. Let's get our green Alps assembly done. Let's put our solder gun away for right now. Again, we'll be seeing more of that tool in a second. So let's solder these ones in. Again, this is going in a Win keyless board. So again, we're leaving the Windows keys out. So let's get these soldered in. Let's plug my vent in, and we'll get going. Here we go. All right. Do some soldering. Cool. Looking good. Looking good. Fantastic. Looking good, folks. So we're making sure solder is going in pretty good. Let's do these two bottom switches. A little bit more there. Perfect. Add this one. A little bit more on that one. Awesome. Let's move our way over here. Not using slash over there. Nice. Perfect. Just wipe off my soldering tip. All right, let's see if we have some caps that are good here. So let's see what we got. All right, so Escape is good. Tab is good. Ah, our caps lock is no bueno on this one. Left control is no bueno on this one. Wait. Okay, give me a second. I'm going to reset this. Give me a second. I'm going to just do one more thing. I'm going to open up VIA again and try this. Okay. Escape's good. Tab is good. Caps lock, no good. Control's no good. Yeah, we're going to replace those three. So left control, left alt, and then my caps lock switches are not being responsive. So we're gonna have to swap out 3 switches on this one. Again, that's part of the process when we do Alps. So let me get that all squared away. So I basically gotta do these 3 right here. So that's what we're doing. It's part of the process. Again, you're dealing with switches that are approaching 40 years old or over 40 years old. Even with restoration, just the switch plates just give out after all that time. So that is okay. That's why I have a metric truckload of Alps switches on hand, and I have even more green Alps where that came from. So it's we are more than good on our healthy supply of Alps. So let me get this one going. Okay, we are good. Cool. Let's leave that here. Let's get these ones out. There we go. And let's get our caps lock out of here. Perfect. All right, these are switches that are just not good. I have a discard bag for those because those are switches that just need to be repaired. So, pretty good. All right, let's grab 3 fresh green Alps and let's try this again. Give me a second, folks. All right, folks, take 5. I got to go do some business. I'll be right back. Give me like 2 minutes, everybody. 2 minutes. Sorry about that, everybody. It's happens. You gotta take care of business. Some around here, so had to take care of something with the dog. So it's all good. So, all right, we got those new switches in. Let's solder them in really quick, and then we'll kind of see if they are good to go. So there we go, everybody. All right, let's see. We got these in. Here we go. Let's solder them in. Awesome. Got those two in. Perfect. Make sure these bottom rows good. Perfect. And we'll put a little more solder on these bottom ones right here. Perfect. Awesome. So, let's double check these. Perfect. All right, let's double check these really quick. Oh, you can hear my gardener outside. Look at that. It's all good. All right, let's try these again. Alt, control. Alright, caps lock is still being sluggish, so we're going to remove the caps lock and put a new caps lock in. But the bottom, control and alt are good. Again, we just want to be thorough in how we do this, and considering that this board is going to the other side of the planet, I wanted to make sure it's perfect because I don't want the customer have to mail it back to me, especially them being literally on the other side of the planet. So we're going to make sure that these switches are good to go when I give it to the client. So again, we will be mailing this off to the client who lives on the other, who lives over in Singapore, which is really cool. All right, let's try that again. All right, we're good now. Perfect. All right, good to go. Let's put this bad green Alps switch away. Again, I got this little collection of switches that just need to be repaired. Those are pretty easy to fix. I just keep them in a slot until we can get them fixed. All right, folks, we're going to switch back to the orange Alps build, and we're going to keep going, folks. So we're going to keep pushing forward, putting these builds together. So going back to doing some orange Alps. So here we go. So we're going to start doing the number row. So we're getting into the main cluster of keycaps. So let's start putting them in. And we're going. Again, this is the Macintosh build right here. So we're going good. Perfect. Looking pretty good right here. So we're installing it, and it's going to look pretty awesome. Yep. Make sure those line up. There we go. Awesome, awesome. Perfect. So orange Alps are in there. Let's install some green Alps on our top row. Looking good. So it's starting to look like those are starting to look like keyboards again, folks. So we have all these awesome little switches going in. These are awesome. So again, we have green linears and we have orange tactile. So probably two of my personal favorite Alps switches. I think they're really good switches. They're still pretty easily accessible. Like green linears are probably the most common linear Alps switch you can find. They're pretty easy to get a hold of. Orange Alps, still pretty easy to track down depending where you are in the world. But yeah, really good switches overall. So perfect. So awesome. We'll put the green Alps build to the side. We're going to focus on the orange Alps for right now. So let me flip this around just so it's a little bit easier to get to these ones. Close those up. All right, folks. So we're going to solder these in and then make sure that they are all good to go. I'll probably have to get a new solder wire and a solder wire in a second. All right, let's try this. Let's solder some of these in. Oh, let's get our vent. I don't want to breathe all this crap all in. Give me a second. There we go. Perfect. Let's go over here. Looking good. Looking pretty good, folks. Alright, almost done with this row, then we'll test these switches. Let me clean my soldering tip. Perfect. Look at that. Look at those orange Alps. Really awesome switch. So, let's get my VO window opened up and let's test these switches. Alright, let's go to my tester. Perfect. Oh. Don't know. Oh. We have a problem here. Orange Alps. So my slash, did I turn my slash off? Give me a second. Give me a second. Let me X via out. I think my slash is deactivated. Give me a second, folks. Gotta double check that everything is looking good here. Yeah, slash is working. Ooh, my slash isn't working. Okay, cool. Gotta desolder that slash and put a new one in. So we gotta do that backslash, that forward slash. Alright. More desoldering. It's all good. And then once this is done, then we can move on to the green Alps. Make sure that's all good to go. Let's let this puppy warm up and we'll get that one desoldered. Again, thankfully we got a nice healthy supply of orange Alps, so it's pretty good. Okay. Cool. All right, let's pull that one out. Cool. All right, that orange Alp is no good, so let's put in a new one. And let's solder that one in. We can open up. I got to open up a new roll of solder, folks. Been doing a lot of boards lately. There we go. All right, let's solder this one in. All right, perfect. All right, let's plug that in. Let's get my VIA oven. There we go. We're good, folks. Perfect. Awesome. So this orange Alps assembly is good for right now. Now we're going to do, all we need to do are the alphas, so which is really, really good. So next one, we're going to switch over back to the green Alps build, and we're going to solder in these top switches right here. So let's get that one going. Let me put the soldering gun away. This will not be the last. This is a really good tool. See you in a little bit. Let's get my hood plugged in. All right. Get that vent plugged in, and we'll go from there. Get that going. Let's get some solder wire going, and we'll get this going. We'll do this top alpha number row. Looking good. Okay, it's coming along, folks. Coming along. Cool. Awesome, awesome. Here we go. All right, we got this number row soldered in, so looking pretty good. Look at that. They're both starting to look like keyboards, which is really nice. So, all right, let's get that one going. Been on here for almost 2 hours. Awesome, awesome. We still got a lot of progress to do. So let's see. So let me get my VIA opened up. And let's test these keycaps. Ah, plus is dead. Whew, we got a lot of dead switches here. Oh, we got 4, 7, dash, and then plus equal. So we got few switches that are just 4 switches in this row that are not being responsive. That is okay. And these are just old switches we're working with, so it's all good. So we got 4 switches we gotta swap out. Okay. Cool. All right, so we have 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get this heated up and then we'll get going. Awesome. All right, we got 4, 5, 6, 7. And then these 2. Perfect. Cool. Let's pull these switches out. Cool. Got those out. All right, let's put in 4 new switches and let's see how that goes. Again, it is a process doing these builds, folks. It is a process. So, let's solder these puppies in, and then let's hope they work. Again, I got a metric truckload of green, so we're good. And these 2. Perfect. All right. All right, those are all in. So let's see if we get a little more luck doing this. Let me just plug this in. There we go. All right. 4 is still no bueno. Damn. 7's good. 8, 9. Crap, now 9's being weird. Okay, I gotta swap out number 4 and then number 9. Yeah, we're gonna swap out 9. 4 and 9, we gotta swap out. 4 and 9 are being weird. So 9 is 3 in. And then 4. Cool. Part of the process, everybody. Part of the process of Alps. So that's okay. Let's put these in. Let's see if that does it a little bit better. Cool. All right, let's solder these in. Hopefully that 4 and 9 are a little bit better. Cool. Awesome. Perfect. All right, let's try this again. That is really weird. Kind of. These 4 and 9 are still being weird. All right. Let me try some new greens. Hold up. I have more greens where that came from. Look at that. Look at that. And I have like another 100 that need to be assembled. So we're good. We're getting topped out in greens. So let's pull these off again. It's okay. Okay. It's part of the process. Again, is it frustrating sometimes? Absolutely, but hey, it's part of the fun. So let's try these again. So these are just being, I guess I'm just being really unlucky with my luck with some of these green Alps, which is weird, but we'll see. Perfect. All right. Should be good. All right. Give me a second. I'm gonna reopen VIA. Here we go. I got my key tester open. What is up with that? Okay, that's really weird. Okay, I'm going to take these out for right now, and we're going to do some troubleshooting later. We're going to move on. I don't know what is up with that. That is so weird. Okay, I don't think that many switches are dead. There might be something wrong with those particular holes, so we're going to do some troubleshooting with some other switches. Yeah, it's super weird. So, all right. So these two are just, I don't know. I'm going to come back to those later on. That's really, really weird. Okay, so, all right, for this one, yeah, 4 and 9 are being weird. So we're going to move on from those for right now. We're going to come back. I have some ideas on how to troubleshoot that. But we're going to move on to our next row on this one. That's looking good. Oh, Twitch is being weird. Twitch, why are you doing this to me? Alright. Cool. Alright, let's do this. Oh. Let's move the solder again. Alright, let's do this one really quick. Let's get some more solder. Perfect. Going through. Cool. All right. Got that one. Cool. All right. Got the first alpha row in. Let's just test those. I think we're just going to burn through the green one really quick. Make sure we're good there. Okay. Got quite a few in this row that are not good. So, okay. All right. I don't know what's up with my Twitch stream. I'm going to stop the stream, but we're going to continue recording. So from here on out, folks, this is just going to be the VOD for YouTube, folks. So we're going to keep on going. I don't know what's up with. Let me get my VIA back out. So we have some dead switches, folks. That's just the nature of this when we deal with switches that are so old. So we're going to deal this one right here. Okay. Those two are good. These next two. Those two are good. U, Y, Q, wait, Q, W, E. Q, W, E, R, T, Y. So Y, U. Wait. That's bad. These two are good. God damn it. Q. Okay, those are good. Those are bad. These are good. Bad. That's when I have to suffer. Q. You this one. Okay. Okay, U, I, O. U, I, O, P, and that slash is good. Okay. Okay, we're going through, folks. Again, we just gotta remove these dead switches. So it's just part of how we go through with Alps. One of the things I do a pretty thorough restoration process, but even with that, you're still gonna have switch plates that are not good. So that's just kind of how it goes with Alps. Again, these are switches that are approaching 40 years old or 40 plus years old. So it's just the part that gives out are the switch plates. That's the part that has the pins that sticks out of the bottom that actually makes contact and sends the signal. It's just kind of how it goes, unfortunately. So, but yeah, we're going to get this board going. Well, this is going to be a longer VOD, so we'll have this posted on YouTube later today. So, going this way. There we go. Got him. God, those are all dead. Okay, so you can kind of see the nature of how many switches in this row were no good. So it's just kind of the nature of Alps. So we're going to replace these switches with some new ones. Let's see if we get a little more lucky. So it's just how Alps go, part of the troubleshooting. And then what makes these builds take a little while. So we're going to kind of go through and install some new ones and kind of see if we get a little more lucky with this. So let's solder these ones in, and then we'll go from there. And we'll have this VOD on YouTube later today. Hopefully I get a little bit better luck. There we go. Got those soldered in. Let's plug this in. Let's test them. Alright. E is still dead. Y is good. U is good. I is good. O is still bad. Yeah. Still got 3 that are not good on here. It's all good. So I gotta do some desoldering here. So E. And then this bracket right here next to the big ass enter. Awesome. Get those out of there. Cool, let's just straighten these pins out really quick. Awesome. All right. Let's try 3 more, folks. Let's try 3 more. Again, this is just part of it, part of the process of Alps. So it is part of why I love doing this, and I'm happy to do this for the client. And again, this is my Frog Mini internal assembly. It is going to be going to my client overseas. So let's see this. Cool. Got him, everybody. All right, let's try this again. Let's try it again. All right. E is good. Yeah. O still. I and O are being weird now. Okay. I and O. Yeah, we're just doing this troubleshooting. Again, I want to make sure each of these switches is good to go for the client. So that's just what makes some of these builds take a little bit longer. But that's part of the fun of Alps and part of what I enjoy doing. There we go. All right, cool. Let's grab a couple more. Sucks that we're burning through so many, but it's okay. Yeah, screw it. Let's try these top ones too. All right, let's try this again. Try these top ones too. They're being weird. It's all good. But that's just part of the process of Alps, everybody. So these are builds that take time and take a lot of patience. Like, you're not going to be putting an Alps build together as quickly as like a hot swap Cherry MX or heck even a solder Cherry MX board. So that's just the nature of how it goes. Yeah, okay. Let's try this again. Okay, let's reset. Okay, eye is still being weird. Cool. So I and the O are being weird. I mean, I and 9, so. Yeah, okay. These two. Yeah, coming through. All right. Cool. We're pushing through, folks. So I have a metric truckload of Alps, and we're going to make sure this is going well. Cool. Let's try that again. Solder these in. All right. Let's try that now. All right. Let's just see. All right. That 9 is still being weird, so I think we're close. Almost there. Yeah, boy, we got it. Awesome. Give me a second. We gotta go back into VIA. And this is just the process of making sure everything is good. Cool. All right, we're just doing some reprogramming. Cool. All right. We're getting closer, everybody. Yeah, they're just no bueno switches. Hopefully we get a little bit more lucky in these next 2 rows. Those rows were a little frustrating, but we got working switches in all of them, so that's good. So now we're almost there. We're done with the alphas. We're just going to burn through the green because I feel like the green Alps are being a little bit more problematic than I would like them to be. So Actually, we're just going to do both rows and just troubleshoot them together. So I'm going to do both alpha rows on this one and just troubleshoot them. Yeah, so there we go, folks. I'm going to grab 2 more. Again, I have a metric truckload of green Alps, so we are good. All right, so we got these bottom 2 rows, so that's what we're going to do. We're just going to solder these puppies in. So let me move the desolder gun out of the way and get my vent. And then we'll just test these bottom 2 rows together. And we'll figure out which ones we got to desolder. Looking really good. Alright, coming along. Yeah, again, soldering is not too hard, folks, if you do want to get into solder boards. It is a process, but it's a pretty easy time once you get the hang of it. And again, once you do a bunch of solder boards, it becomes just like second nature. It's super easy. Cool. Alright, got those last 2 rows soldered in. Doesn't mean we're done with soldering on this board, but it's starting to look like a keyboard, which I think is really nice. So, looking really good. Look at all those green Alps, but we still got to test these bottom 2 rows, make sure all the switches are good and responsive. So that's just the thing with Alps. We just have to make sure that everything is good to go. So I'm going to go into my switch tester. That's a little weird. Oh, it's actually pretty good. All right, not too bad. That is really crunchy. Give me a second. Okay, one of the benefits too of Alps is that you can disassemble and work on them while they're outside of the case. There we go. Okay. Not too bad. We don't have that many dead switches on this one. That's really nice, actually. So, let's pull out the solder gun. And we're going to go from there, folks. Okay, so, letter A is bad. Oh, gotta let it warm up. Oops. Jumping ahead of myself. Cool. Letter A. A, S, D, and my letter F on my second row. That's pretty good. So now it's Z, X, C, and V. C and V, B, N, M, and then this one. Not too bad, if I do say so myself. Give me a second, folks. This one we gotta take out, and then F. Okay, give me a second, folks. All right, give me a second, folks. I gotta take care of this. All right, let me try those A and F first. Let me do those really quick. F is still bad. F is still good. A is good. So we're going to do F. Let's try this again. Okay, let's reset this. F, G, H, okay. F, just make sure that the ones that are plugged in work. K is being weird. Okay, cool. Letter K is being weird. Doing this very thorough, folks. And we want to make sure that these final keys are good to go. And we're being very thorough on how we test this board. Cool. All right, let's do this upper row first. And these greens are giving me a lot of trouble. Okay, let's try this again. I'm gonna go back, close out via, go back into it. Cool. All right, let's try this again. K is still being weird, so let's just pull that K out. We're getting there, folks. We are getting there, slowly but surely. So it's coming along. It's a slow process, folks, but we are going to get this one going. We're getting there. K is still being weird. Okay, we're gonna come back to that one. Really weird. Yeah, these greens are being frustrating today. Yeah, these are being very frustrating switches today. All right, that row's done. So 4 more, and then this board is pretty much done. So let's hope we're on the home stretch of green Alps being weird to me. So let's flip it around. Let's do these. Yeah, we've been on here for almost 3 hours, folks. Yeah, so it's just part of the troubleshooting process of these particular switches. And that's what I think makes Alps, this is very much an advanced build. Cool. All right. Let's plug this in. See what we got. Let's reset it. Oh, we are good, folks. We are good. We're done with Green Alps. Been getting a lot of lemons lately. Lord. Alright, let me just put the solder gun away. still have the orange build we got to do and finish up. So let me just plug this in. Let me reopen VIA and let's plug this in. Cool. Everything looks good. Just testing all the switches in VIA. So far, so good. And there looks good. Cool. All right, this board is good to go. So let me just X out VIA. That looks freaking gorgeous. So this is the Frog Mini internal assembly. So we'll put on keycaps a little bit later, but we want to go through the Orange Alps build assembly now. That's the one that's been kind of a thorn in my, that green Alps build is a thorn in my side, folks. All right, let's do some Orange Alps. Let's just plug this in and just double check that everything is working on this one really quick. All right, cool. Cool. We are good. All right, let's start installing Orange Alps. So, I think we're just going to go through and solder them all, and then the ones that aren't working, we're just going to pull them out. So we're going to kind of speed through this one. Pretty good. Pretty good. Coming along, folks, coming along. So we're just putting the rest of them in. Perfect. All right, look at that. They look really cool. So this is our Bakeneko. So we're going to get the soldering iron fired up. We're going to get my vent going, and we're just going to solder these all in, and then we're just going to desolder the ones that are dead. So hopefully we have a good amount. All right. Cool. Got those center ones in. Cool. Looking pretty good. So Cool. Coming along, folks. Coming along. Soldering is coming along. Almost there. A couple more switches. And we should be good. Cool. Alright. Got them all soldered in, so we're just going to go through and test all the alphas. And then we, depending on what switches are not working, that's what we're going to desolder and replace. Alright, folks, let's go through. Nice, not too bad. Only got to do 4 switches on here. That's actually really good, all things considered. Not as frustrating as the greens. So let's get the desoldering gun fired up. So we just got to replace W, R, A, and the letter B. That is pretty good. There we go. Do W first. So I gotta let this warm up. Once that's all warmed up, we'll desolder these 4 switches, and then we should be good to go. Okay, those are good. We have A. Perfect. That's good. And then we have W. And then R. All right, let's pull these out. A. And then W. All right, let's just straighten out these pins really quick. Just straighten out these pins of these bad switches. The fact that we only have 4 switches on this one that were bad is pretty good. The green switches, they're just the oldest of the Alps switches that I have on hand. They're just one of the earliest Alps switches, so those are just really, really old switches. So let's put these in. Let's solder these in, and then hopefully we could be done here. Okay, let's solder these puppies in. Good. A is good. X is not being as responsive as I would want it to be, so we're going to swap that. Alright, those are soldered in, folks. Alright, let's do one more test on this one. I think we're going to be pretty solid. Let's reset it. Cool. All right, friends, we are done. So I'm going to log off the stream right here. But let me just close my vias just so y'all can see them. So here are completed 60% Alps assembly. So here is the Bakeneko with orange Alps and OG Macintosh keycaps. Here is our green Alps assembly that's going to be going in a Geon Frog Mini. With FK 2001 keycaps and green linear Alps. So these two assemblies look fantastic and they came out great. So we're going to hit stop recording. This VOD will be on YouTube later today, folks. So thank you so much.